Let's start with Donald Trump, who said some eye-catching things in the last 24 hours. Some have said they are outrageous. He says he wants to acquire Greenland and the Panama Canal, saying they both basically should be American and they are critical to America's national security. He was asked if he would rule out using military or economic force to take over the two areas. And he said this about the Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal is a disgrace, what took place at the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter gave it to them for $1, and they were supposed to treat us well. I thought it was a terrible thing to do. You know, it was the most expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively. It would be the equivalent of substantially over $1 trillion today. We lost 38,000 people. Think of it, 38,000 people, they died from malaria, mosquitoes. They were unable to stop the mosquitoes. They paid people 5 times more to take the job. Many of those people died. We gave it away for $1.
Okay, so then there's a whole Canadian dimension, which we mentioned yesterday, where he says that Canada would be better off as part of America. But then there's also Greenland and whether America might consider taking that by force.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
Okay, we'll have a little look at where these places are. And so I can see Susie's face. This has started. The show has started, right? The Trump show. He's not even president yet. That's the end of Jan. Okay, so let us have a look here. We'll just do some of the obvious ones first. So USA is here. This will test me. Mustn't get these ones wrong. And do you remember that back in the day when John McCain ran to be president, he had a vice presidential candidate called Sarah Palin. And Palin was the governor of Alaska over here. And she was living in Anchorage, which is there. And she famously said, "You can see Russia from my house." And that's because as you go west, you get into Russia. So although I could put Russia there, I'm actually going to put Russia here. And that's something we don't think about. But it worries the Americans a bit that Putin, inverted commas, is that close. So then we look at Panama. Panama's right down here, tiny country. You can see the significance. Doesn't matter how small the land is there. Basically, unless there's a canal, you can't get ships through it. If you don't use the canal, you've got to go all the way round down to the south of South America. So that's why that canal is important. Denmark, we mentioned here in Denmark is there, all right. Denmark has a claim on Greenland, although Greenland is theoretically autonomous. We mentioned Canada because Trump says Canada is naturally American, should be American. They don't need their flag. They don't need their currency. He wants to use massive economic strength to make Canadians decide to become American and become the 51st state. And then finally, here we have, I can't remember which way I'm going to offend everyone who's a Greenlander, all 45,000. I think no, it's that way up. That is the Greenland flag. And so Greenland is sparsely populated. He said 45, it's 57,000 people. The capital is a place called Nuuk. I don't see where Nuuk is. Nuuk has got to be down south. There it is. There's Nuuk, just there. And but it's a massive expanse of land. It will have oil. It's originally Norwegian. It then was passed from Norway to Denmark in 1817, and its estimated value is 1.7 trillion. And Trump's logic, Susie, is simple. It's like, well, why can't we have it?
I mean, it's like he lives in a kind of, I mean, it's just bizarre, but it's also like he lives in this kind of parallel universe. You know, it's kind of the things you see in movies, I suppose, and you kind of think, oh, that would never happen in real life. I mean, it is all a bit ridiculous. And I think what is really concerning about this is you want the president of America, you know, to be someone that is building partnerships, working with their NATO allies and all this kind of stuff. What you don't want is the president of America to be saying nutty things like this.
I suppose you want him to be a force for stability, but he's
Exactly.
He's running a show and he wants us to watch it, and we're watching it. I mean, he also said that the Gulf of Mexico needs to be renamed. Have a look at this.
Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate.
Carol, this is so. There's two ways. You could say he's got every right, or you could just say this is really silly. It's silly.
Well, I don't think it's silly. You know, this all he's doing is following through on what he won the election on, is by saying America first, which is what that's all about. You know, the thing that I like about Trump is when he was asked where would he use force to take over, he said, "I can't assure you that I won't." Now, he's not going to. But the thing that he does, he puts doubt into the minds of other countries about it, because they think he's crazy enough to actually do it.
But maybe people in
won't.
Greenland want to be American.
But when he says things,
possible.
but when he says things like, you know, Denmark has a claim, does Denmark actually own? Do they or not? You say they're autonomous, but you know, do Denmark own it? What claim do they actually have
But
on
it's
it?
like Jersey or Isle of Man.
And,
isn't it?
and if Trump is
Sark.
correct in saying, you know, this is about the security of the free world, why wouldn't these countries be interested in that? Because, you know, if you're that, as Sarah Palin says, if you're that close to Putin, that would worry me slightly, because, you know, if Donald Trump comes into your backyard, he's not going to bomb the hell out of you. Putin is. So, you know, I think it's two things. It's America first. It's also that, you know, he's talking about national security, which a lot of the rest of the world hides from.
Isn't that amazing, Susie, that how close, I mean, actually, that I think Moscow is so Greenland is got equidistant from Moscow on one side and Washington, D.C. on the other. The map of the world is
I'm going to
amazing,
be honest
isn't
with you, it is. I'm a geographer, I did a geography degree, and I've never actually realised how close, you know, Russia is in that way. However, when you've got him saying, I want to make Canada a state of America, I mean, these things, it's just a bit balmy. And I'm just like, there's so many problems going on in the world. We need America to be in a good place.
Okay.
Like, you know, we need them to be a stabilising
But
force.
Susie, it's because there are so many problems in the world that he's talking about access and being able to get to places quickly if we need to. That's why he's cross about the Chagos Islands thing, you know, because it's going to be a problem if we get attacked.
I tell you what, this is a good pause, but only pause, because we need to go and talk about Elon Musk, which is a whole extension of Trump's brain, I suppose.